For the release of Monster Hunter Rise, we have the Magnamalo, the Palico, and also the Palamute Amiibo. Hey Nintendo fans and collectors, Lithium here from my channel Nintendo Collecting. If you follow my channel, you know I'm a sucker for Amiibo. I think I have every single one unboxed for North America, or pretty close to it. So I'm going to unbox all three of these for you guys in this video. These were available at the release of the game for Monster Hunter Rise, but in my area they sold out very quickly, so I was happy a store got restocked, so I was able to pay normal prices for these and not insane prices. There's also a collector's edition game coming out that should have another Amiibo that's coming up, so hopefully I'm able to get that one as well. Now, this one here is more expensive than the other two because look at it. It is huge, so it makes sense that they charge roughly $5 more for it. Before I get too far into this video, I just want to mention that I did unbox this deluxe edition of the Nintendo Switch, which is gorgeous, and also the Pro Controller over there, which has Magnamalo featured on both of them. So check those out as a card in the top right-hand corner if you're interested. So first up is Magnamalo. This is one of the largest Amiibo that is on a traditional stand. I have a few of the other larger ones that I'm going to compare this one to. So this one looks insane, but I am going to open this up. If you're wondering what this comes with, when you scan it into your game, it says right here, after you scan it, you're going to get the Sinister Special Layered Armor set for your Hunter, and you also get a draw in the lottery to get some helpful in-game items, essentially. So this is the game's made by Capcom in collaboration with Nintendo. So cool just to say that, even though it's 2021, to get some things out with Nintendo and Capcom kind of partnered ever since Mega Man, of course, was in the Smash Brothers series. That's when it started to become really cool for me anyways. So this character, there's a few really cool things, but you do battle against it in the game, and I have not played enough Monster Hunter previously. I'm only kind of really jumping into the series. Even though I had Monster Hunter 3 on the Nintendo Wii and the Wii U, I didn't play them very much. So this is the first one that I'm really getting into. A lot of my friends are really into it as well. And it just feels like a big boss battle system, kind of like The Legend of Zelda, but you know, a lot of other games are kind of similar to it, but it's cool that Nintendo is kind of promoting the game as well, as much as they are, and the fact that the game actually gets its own system speaks a lot. There is another Nintendo Switch system for Monster Hunter that was already released in other areas of the world. This thing is huge, by the way. Alright, so let's just see. Can I pop this out without doing any damage to anything? Alright, that wasn't so bad. Wasn't so bad. Alright, this looks so cool. By the way, I didn't know this for a while until one of my buddies pointed this out to me. These kind of aura, the gases coming out of this character, are from all of the creatures that he's defeated, and they're like spewing out of Magnamalo, which is so cool. The steel-like armor is so well done on this. I didn't realize the base was so blue, but that looks really cool as well. The detail on this really does look great. Some of you have been mentioning that it would be great if maybe I upgrade to a 4K camera for some of these videos. It is something I'm looking into. If you want to support my channel for any reason, I really want to give a shout out to my patrons. This is a good time for that. So I do want to save up to kind of maybe get a 4K camera to show you this quality even better at some point. But it really does look spectacular, and I just think that's such a cool idea, because I wasn't sure what these were for a while, and then when I finally read it in-game myself, that's where it describes to you in-game that the gas is kind of spewing out are from those other characters. So it's not posable in any way. I thought the tail might be able to move a little bit, but it's not. There is that huge stand on the bottom. It's kind of odd that none of the legs are touching the ground or anything like that, but it makes a lot of sense considering how huge this Amiibo is. It kind of just looks like a really badass dinosaur in my opinion. Looks really cool. I love all the baddies that they create in these games. If you're wondering how big this one is, let's just compare it to the Guardian Amiibo just to get an idea, because that one was oversized and more expensive as well. So both of them are kind of similar, obviously in size, except this one has legs that are posable, but it is huge when you compare it to any other Amiibo. If you want to compare it to Detective Pikachu with a much larger stand, I mean, the stand didn't need to be so big for this one. Look at how Magnamalo is kind of spewing out the sides of the stand, but it still is a larger Amiibo. That's why it's kind of warranting the price. It's nothing even close, of course, to the largest Amiibo, which is this Mega Yarn Yoshi Amiibo right here. So that's Magnamalo. Overall, looking fantastic. Really well done. I love the scales. I love the extreme armor and the tail. The tail looks so villainous. It really looks like that's going to do some damage as well. And even the face. Look at the detail on the face and the eyes. I love it. This is really cool, actually. So this is going to go on my Amiibo wall with all of the other ones. But let's get to the next one. So next one up, I'm going to do this one with a more complicated kind of side character you get. Palico will be next. Palico is a lot more of a complicated character in the game than Palamute because you have equip moves and you also have passive moves for this character, for your sidekick basically. There are 5 different types. Let me know if you're a Palico person, a cat person, or if you're a Palamute, a dog person. I kind of like both. If you know me, my wife and I, we have 2 cats named Zelda and Evie, but I do like dogs as well. They're just a lot more work. So this one, he looks adorable in this little package right here. On the back, it tells you exactly what you're going to get when you scan this one in. This one, you're going to get a feline sinister special layered armor set and also a draw into that lottery again. I like how they spelt feline. That's spelled entirely different and just kind of weird for this character. So let's open up Palico. With Palicos, there are 5 different types, and I think their first move and their last move, I can't remember what level you get that at, maybe 25 or 20, they're the exact same basically, and they're the moves in the middle. The 3 moves that you get in the middle for the equip moves will be kind of unique. It's not totally random. What I mean by that is like what you get at a level 10 unlock. You can't get that same level 10 kind of equip move that you would get again at level 20. So they're kind of just tiered in that way, but they are kind of random. Especially you can start the game and pick your own, but you can get them later on as well. So really interesting. Let me know of the 5 types what kind of type you get. I like Bombardier for whatever reason. I'm not really sure. There's also Healer, which is very useful too. So let's take a look at this right here. Same kind of base, of course. The blue base. Looks pretty adorable, by the way. I love how they just had this idea in this system with the cat and dog. We do have 2 clear stands that's helping hold up Palico here. The sword, or saber, looks really good. Doesn't really have a sheath, just kind of like holding it by its bag and everything like that. The ears, this one just looks so adorable actually. The ears look so cool where it's wearing like kind of its own hat and gear basically. There's a lot of different designs for these too, and I'm really pleased with the one they went with. I think it makes a lot of sense. This one kind of appeals to the masses. It actually looks a lot like the cat my buddy has. A lot like it actually. Azura, adorable. So all of this just reminds me a lot of a cat. Look at how much smaller this is than Magnamalo, as it should be, but in-game it's nowhere close to this. Magnamalo, I feel like they should have gone bigger. They should have gone bigger, maybe like this size. Maybe for Detective Pikachu, for Magnamalo, I would have been okay with it, because obviously they're not to scale whatsoever. It's just cool getting these at all for more games, and we haven't had that many Amiibo out in 2021 to begin with. It's been really, really slow, especially considering the Amiibo craze from a few years ago. So that's a decent look at Palico, but next up let's take a look at Palamute. And Palamute, of course, is a dog type. Palamutes are not as complicated in-game as Palicos, and I'll get to that just in a second, but let's take a look at the back and what you get with this when you scan it in. It says you get a canine. Look at how they spelt that canine. That's kind of clever. Canine Sinister Special Layered Armor Set for your Palamute, and you will also get a draw in the lottery. Just a note, I paid $24.99 for these in Canada, which is like $18 US, $19 US. That is a lot more than I expected, and I think the larger Magnamalo was actually $30, which would make it something around like $24 US. Definitely a lot more expensive for these. So when I said that the Palamutes are more simple to kind of fall in love with than the Palicos. Palicos, when I was selecting one for my partner, I was just thinking like, first I had to look at the equip moves, and if I liked the equip moves for the Palico, then I would start to look at the passive moves that were included as well. But for the characters here, for the Palamutes, it wasn't really like that. It wasn't as complicated because they don't have both move sets. They only have passive moves. So like, I fell in love with the characters much faster than I did for the Palicos. It just took me a lot longer to decide on a Palico, and honestly, the whole system seemed very overwhelming at first. But once you read into it and once you got a lot more into the game, I don't think it was as complicated as I was making it out to be overall. So let's see, this one's actually giving me tons of problems trying to open this one up. Now that it's finally opened, let's get this guy out of here. So paying that much for Amiibo, it seems kind of crazy, especially for like a third-party game that's not even made by Nintendo. I guess they can get away with it because people like me want to collect them, and fans of the series are of course going to want to have these characters to put them on their shelves as well. Now that he's finally out of the box, let's take a closer look at the design of this. It kind of looks like it's blue-purple in a way of the character. The gold detail work though on the side here does look fantastic. That looks really cool. Even some of the red little pieces on this look great. I like how he's kind of wearing a scarf. gives them a little bit more personality. We have that X marking on the top of the head. The mouth is actually really quite well done. It is open just slightly. You can see a little bit of the teeth there, so that's nice. The tail looks kind of dynamic as well. Don't mind the way they did that. It looks a lot like what it would in the game as well. So cats and dogs, when I first saw these two, I was kind of wondering, like, I'm not that familiar with the Monster Hunter series until this game, as I mentioned earlier in the video. So, like, cats and dogs are just such a cool thing. Let me put them in the same order, kind of left and right when you go to select them later on in the game. And Magnamalo is just by far the showstopper of these three. I think if someone looks at these characters, unless they're a big fan of the series, they probably won't know what these two are from. They'll probably maybe just think it's from some sort of Japanese RPG. But as soon as you see Magnamalo, you're like, okay, that one's from Monster Hunter. So if you're going to only pick up one, maybe spend the extra dollars and get Magnamalo, especially considering how ridiculously awesome this looks. And I would love to see, let me know if you would like to see more of the monsters as Amiibo. I mentioned that collector's edition, which is coming out for Stories, Monster Hunter Stories, I believe. And I'm going to try and pre-order that. There was also a collector's edition out that came with Magnamalo that I did not pick up. It was in stores and it sold out way too fast. So maybe I'm trying to get my hands on that at some point. Not required in my collection to me because I already have this one right here. But again, if you're going to pick up one, maybe consider getting that Magnamalo. In terms of height for all of these, just really quickly, if you were curious, the Palico is the shortest one. In inches, it's like 2.5 inches, which is about, let me see in centimeters then. I think like 60 centimeters, 60 millimeters, 6 centimeters. The Palamute is a lot taller than it. It's around 3 inches, which makes it around 7, maybe 8 centimeters. And then Magnamalo is just slightly taller than that. So maybe 3.5 to 4 inches tall, which is roughly, I guess, 80 millimeters to 90 millimeters, which is 8 to 9 centimeters overall. Let me know what you think of these three Amiibo. What would you rank them? 1, 2, 3? For me, it would go Magnamalo, and then Palico, and then Palamute, but that's kind of just my same preference that I would have in the game for these three as well. Thank you so much for watching. Go collect them all, keep smiling while gaming, let me know which of these is your best, and stay awesome, my friends.